My name is John de Gregorio, and I represent WAP Renewable Energies, the organizer of the event. As you already know, together with me, we have Dr. Robert Kenny, EU PVSEC Program Technical Chair from the European Commission Joint Research Centre, and Professor Nicola Purcell, EU PVSEC 2020 Conference General Chair from the Northumbria University in the UK. And finally, here we are. As we all know, this has been a complicated year. We started designing the events already in 2019 as a physical on-site one, and many things happened in between, including a worldwide pandemic. We faced the challenges and decided to offer a full online, full live event for the first time in our history, keeping the flavor of the successful EU PVSECs, including an exhibition, parallel events, and numerous possibilities to network. But the challenges and difficulties were not just in our sides as an event organizer, but as well in those many PV experts and researchers that submitted their abstracts already in February and had their jobs, tests, and investigations affected in the meantime. For them, we can only have gratitude for their efforts, commitment, and trust in the EU PVSEC as the platform to make their findings public, network, and discuss. Thanks to them, the EU PVSEC conference program remains as complete, exciting, and innovative as in a regular year. The EU PVSEC 2020 offers the PV community, a digital event that connects science to science and science to industry this year everywhere. Meeting and networking with all relevant actors of the PV sector in one unique platform that enables full interaction between audience and speakers and among participants. One of the biggest online conferences in the PV sector with a full live program and the possibility of accessing presentations on video on demand just a few hours after the live session. In the meantime, as you can see in the screen, we shared with you some key figures of the event. Having said that, I give the floor to Professor Nicola Purcell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I'd like to add my welcome to everyone to this press conference. And firstly, just to say that it's both an honour and a pleasure for me to act as the General Chair for what I believe is the 37th European Photovoltaic Solar Energy Conference. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a researcher in photovoltaics, and I have been for the whole of my career over a range of different PV topics. And the European Conference has been a fixture in my diary for essentially the whole of my career, from being a young researcher. So what I'd like to do is start with a few personal comments about my experience of the conference and the value it is as a researcher, and then perhaps to try and address a couple of aspects of the wider context for the event. For me, I tend to split up technical conferences into two rather broad categories. Firstly, those that are dedicated to a specific topic, perhaps a particular kind of solar cell or a particular aspect of PV system development. And they're very valuable because they provide a sort of a concentrated environment for knowledge transfer. But by their nature, they're limited in the networking that can be done because essentially you're interacting with people working in the same topic area. But then there are conferences like the EU PVSEC, which cover a wide range of PV topics. And the resulting interaction that you get, the networking you have across the different sectors, devices, systems, markets, environmental impact, all those sorts of different topics, is a really valuable opportunity to develop your contacts, and to develop those interdisciplinary collaborative projects that are so important to the promotion of photovoltaics. I think if I look back over the sorts of collaborative projects that I've done, the vast majority of them were initiated either by contacts I've made at the European conference, or indeed by discussions that I've held over the course of past conferences. So it's been a really important part of my research career. Personally, I actually really enjoy catching up with all the different topics, and that's probably because I've worked in lots of different aspects of photovoltaics. But I also think it's very important that all researchers and all the PV community have a really good overview of the whole sector. I have to say that usually the conference is a bit of a challenge for me because there's so many parallel sessions that I want to go to. So this year I'm really looking forward to being able to attend as many live presentations as I can fit in across the week, but I'm also quite grateful for the catch-up afterwards, because that means that I can hear some of the presentations that I wouldn't have normally been able to. So I'm going to encourage everybody to listen live, but also to catch up afterwards some of the topics that you didn't manage to see. It's become something of a cliche over the last few months that we're living in strange times. And John has already explained the way in which the format of the conference has had to be changed, or at least the way in which it's organised has been changed to accommodate the fact that none of us can travel around and we can't meet up in person. Although I would say that I've been pleased by as I've seen the evolution of the platform, conference platform over the last few weeks, that actually I think for the regular attendee, the format will be very familiar. So I think that's really comforting to have. But the current situation we have provides us with some new challenges and also some familiar ones as we try and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. I actually should be able to say COVID-19 properly by now, shouldn't I? But I just messed that up. So there we go. Many governments have suggested that their recovery will also address climate change, that it'll be a major part of their recovery plans, although, of course, we've yet to see that in terms of action. But I think if we look at where photovoltaics was before the pandemic, we were at a stage where it was being widely acknowledged that it's cost competitive with many other kinds of generation, indeed even lower cost than a lot of the conventional fuels. But nevertheless, most of the renewable energy technologies share the characteristic that they are high capital cost. And I think there is a question as to how what the investment environment will look like as we come out of a pandemic that's going to have affected economies around the world. So I think there's some interesting challenges in how we demonstrate how photovoltaics can play a full part in our near-term recovery and in addressing the issues of climate change. I also want to mention one other issue, which is which I'm really interested in and which I think faces most of our countries as we recover from the pandemic, and that is that of employment. I think the photovoltaic sector needs to be very conscious of how to support our existing workforce, which, as John has already mentioned, has been affected by the pandemic in terms of the ability to work and to network with one another. And also, it's clear that there are many young people out there with a very keen awareness of climate change, and I think we need to try as hard as we can to provide sufficient opportunities for them to get involved in our technology and to contribute to its development. I'm looking forward to some interesting discussions over the conference week and beyond, so that we can start to act collectively in the months ahead to contribute to our recovery. The conference is going to address many topics that facilitate that development, And I'm going to now hand over to Robert Kenny, who's as you already know, is the program chair, and I'm sure he's going to give you more information about the content and scope of the conference. Robert.
Great, thanks a lot, Nicola, and thanks also to John for the introduction at the beginning, and thank you all for coming along today. So I will try and be brief, but I want to also give you some solid details about the conference, so you understand a bit more what we're doing next week. So as John already said, this is our first ever online EU PVSEC, so it's very exciting. It's also been, I have to admit, highly stressful in the last months putting together the program in the circumstances that we all understand very well. We've worked very hard to maintain the full original program that we had put together at the start of the year. So we want to keep live interactive sessions through the whole week from Monday until Friday. And we also want to retain the key networking role of the conference, which is very, very important. So we want the delegates to be able to network with each other, to meet each other, as similar as possible as they can during the physical conference that we're all used to. So we've developed a bespoke platform which will allow full live interactive sessions and also networking in a number of chat rooms. So the EU PVSEC continues to be the leading platform for the global PV community to meet and discuss new ideas and concepts. And at its heart, we share the development of technical knowledge about materials, cells, and systems, but also to disseminate all the work that will help ensure that the rapidly increasing amount of renewable energy, especially photovoltaics, is going to be successfully integrated into the current and also the future energy network. So we're basically, we've got a big goal here. We're trying to develop the energy network of the future. So we must always bear in mind that we have a very, very ambitious goal, what we're trying to do in the PV community and what we're trying to do in this conference. And in the title of the call for abstracts that I published a long time ago, it seems now, many months ago, I titled it Maintaining Momentum, which was, the concept was that we wanted to keep driving forward the momentum of continuous growth in the photovoltaics. And I think this is now especially important with the current situation where we're seeing a lot of economic activity stalling, and there is a risk that in the recovery phase, governments and companies and society might get distracted from the very important goal of decarbonizing our energy system. So I think maintaining momentum for that is really, really important. So now I'll just give you a quick overview of the topics. We have a broad range which go from basic concepts to markets and everything in between. Obviously, we will also showcase all the developments that are ongoing in real time from the labs around the world in materials applications, including materials such as silicon, perovskites, thin film materials, organics, and also the ongoing work on tandem devices, which is getting ever more important. Also very important are advances in storage and grid integration. So as I said before, a huge part of the work we're doing is making sure that this future energy system can incorporate massive amounts of sustainable and photovoltaically generated energy. So storage, grid integration are very, very important as well, and they have their own topics in the conference. So we don't focus entirely on photovoltaic devices and photovoltaic systems, but also how these systems integrate into the entire energy network. That's very, very important to make sure we have a holistic view on everything. We bring together actors from a whole range of backgrounds. And that's a key factor of our conference that makes it so very, very important. It's the European conference, so I think it's very important I mention briefly the European angle. Climate, energy, and mobility have key roles in the European Union's next research and innovation framework program, which is called Horizon Europe. And the overarching driver of this program is the ambition to achieve climate neutrality in Europe by 2050. This is a long-standing target of the European Union, entailing the decarbonization of the energy and mobility sectors. So research and innovation actions, such as are reported by many of the presenters during this conference, will help make the energy supply side cleaner, more secure and competitive. So we boost the cost, performance, and reliability of all these solutions, and especially for us in this conference, photovoltaics. So now I'll give you some brief statistics about the conference program, the technical program of the conference itself. I won't go into too many details. I'll try and keep it simple. So overall, we've got 870 presentations from around 60 countries based on the country of the corresponding author. We have 13 very interesting plenary talks in 3 different thematic plenary sessions, and the titles of those sessions are Innovations in PV Technologies, Innovations for PV Industry and Development, and PV in the Energy System. And I would strongly invite you, if you're not able to join many other parts of the conference this week, but to try and attend those 3 sessions, because they'll give you a great overview of everything that's happening across the whole range of the conference. We have 325 oral presentations in 64 sessions. So we've managed to keep a very full program for the whole week, very similar to we do in a physical conference. And indeed, we're very, very pleased that the community has maintained its work output and its commitment to the conference by keeping broadly a similar number of presentations as we would have in recent years. And then to complete the technical program, we've got over 400 visual presentations in 15 visual sessions. And then on top of that, as well as the technical program, which is my main responsibility, we have the opening session with a number of presentations and a panel discussion and a number of parallel events, which you'll be able to find information about in the program, and that'll bring the total number of live presentations in the week to significantly above 900. So it's a very, very busy week. I also wanted to mention we have the poster and student awards during the week. These are very, very important elements of our week. They draw attention to the great work that's done in the visual presentations, which are actually, as you will have seen, a majority of the presentations, and also attention to the students, the student presenters who are obviously starting off in their career, and I think it's very important that they get due attention for the great work that they're doing. In fact, this year we even have one student award candidate making a presentation in the plenary session. So that's the first time that's happened. So that's really very exciting. So I think it's really important that I'd like to thank the scientific committee. So more than 200 members of the scientific committee that have helped us put together the program, and the entire PV community for their dedication and their commitment, and the continuing faith in our shared conference. It's very important to mention that, because the difficulties we've all experienced in the last several months have made it very difficult for people to perhaps complete some work that they had in program, and nevertheless, everybody's managed to come through in the end, and I think it's really, really worth congratulating everybody about. So then I'll just move on to a couple of concluding remarks. The expected impact, broadly scientific and societal, of the conference. Basically, the scientific impact, we want to see the upscaling of photovoltaics and its deployment to terawatt scale. So that's in a nutshell where we're trying to get to, based on all the small steps that people make in all the different areas that they're working on. But I'd also like to remind everybody the impacts on society and global challenges like sustainability, global change, and poverty alleviation, especially in developing countries and emerging markets. And these topics are also addressed in some presentations in the topic 7 of the conference. And then I just mentioned that in conclusion, detailed figures and scientific highlights will be presented by me on Friday morning, the Friday morning of the conference, in the closing session. So thank you all for your attention.
Good, thank you so much, Robert. I think we can move into the Q&A section. If you have any question, just please go ahead, write them in the chat in Teams. We will try to go through them. Up to now, there's none. So please don't be shy, and we are here to reply your questions.
I suppose you can also ask your questions vocally if you would, if you prefer. So you feel free to turn on your microphones and even your webcams, and we can have a chat. It would be appreciated.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
This is Ben from PV Time here, Century New Energy Network. I had a question for you in regards to what you said earlier. Are we going to have a recording of this press conference? Okay.
Can reply that. Yep.
I think she nodded there. So.
Sorry.
Oh, we will be getting a recording of this conference, right? Because I was curious. You said based on the amount of speakers that we had, there were 3 sessions that you hope that we were able to make it out to get the most out of the conference, get the general idea. Would you mind repeating what those 3 parts were? I couldn't quite write them down in time.
Sure, no problem. It's basically they're very easy to find in the program because they are the 3 plenary sessions. So there's one each on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. And they kind of really, they're chosen on purpose to try and give a broad overview of what's happening in all the different technical areas of the conference for an audience of non-specialists. In a sense, everybody is a specialist, but you don't have to be a specialist in silicon devices to follow the talk that's going to be made on the silicon topic, for example. So the 3 sessions are called Innovations in PV Technologies, Innovations for PV Industry and Deployment, and PV in the Energy System. You can find.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny.
Okay, you're welcome.
Just wrote in the chat that the recordings, of course, we will have recordings of all oral and preliminary sessions, including the 3 that you were asking about. And these recordings will be available a few hours after the end of each session. So for all participants in the platform, they will be able to click and see the full recording, including as well the Q&A section, not only the presentations of each of the speakers, but as well the Q&A section at the very end of each of them. More questions? Don't be shy, please. Go ahead. Maybe I can mention, related to this question from Benjamin, that the full program online is available in our website. It's already well, it's constantly updated. It's absolutely up to date, and there you can see even a brief description of each of the talks that will be presented during the event. So as well as these titles that Robert was mentioning, you will be able to find further details on that. And the platform for the event, you can visit already. Even some posters and some videos or explanatory videos are already available there. So just feel free to visit already the platform. Because we are opening the gates on Monday, but you can already get familiar with it. More questions?
It seems that we were as clear as our presenters will be next week. The podium.
Yeah, I mean, not to hog all the time here. Ben here again. Thank you again for the invitation. Just curious, are we going to be receiving a press release for this conference as well for us to publish on our websites individually? Or what we received last week is sufficient for now?
I will check that with Steffi. Well, she's here. I don't know if we have decided this already, but in any case, we will contact you. We have your contact details, and we could in case it's decided to do so, we will make it available for you via email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, any chance to promote this event will be a good thing for both of our parties. So look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again.
Yeah, and for sure we make a press conference after the end of the conference to explain all the exciting developments. But whether there's one beforehand, that's out of my remit.
Just checking in very quickly. There will be a press release coming on later today. Will not include the information about the press conference, but we will put the information that was discussed today in the press conference on the EU PVSEC website later today or tomorrow. So you will have all the information that was discussed today on the website.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Steffi. More questions, please? So, if there are no further questions, we can close here, I think. Anyway, we are available for any questions that you may have. We are available, you know, our contact details of all of us, indeed. So in case you have any further questions, just feel free to contact us, and we will be very happy to reply to them. Thank you very much for your time, and see you latest online next Monday at 8:30. Paris, Berlin, Rome, Munich time. I think this is important to underline. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you.
Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.